My administration has accomplished more than almost any administration in the history of our country. America's so true. Didn't expect that reaction, but that's okay.
That was the sound of the world literally laughing at Trump. His claim in an address to the UN General Assembly that the administration has accomplished more than any other in history, causing a stir among the world leaders and top diplomats in the crowd. But the puffery didn't end there. The president went on to boast about America's strength and power, touting his commitment to an America First foreign policy and rebuking globalism. His at times aggressive message drawing head shakes at the UN, as the AP reports. Joining us at the table, NBC News Chief Foreign Affairs Correspondent Andrea Mitchell. So I want to deal with the elephant in the room, which was that I worked for a president who sometimes came to the UNGA, where there were a lot of disagreements about extraordinary rendition or about the war in Iraq or about enhanced interrogation. And those were policy differences, but he was never scoffed. I mean, he took that speech seriously. It was written by serious foreign policy advisors like Condoleezza Rice and Colin Powell and others. And New York Times is reporting that Stephen Miller, his immigration hardliner, wrote this speech today. It doesn't seem like an overstatement to call it a disgrace.
It was very, very awkwardly written. And you had the President of the United States coming and saying, we're being taken advantage of. And from now on, we're going to give foreign aid only to countries that help us. Rejecting the whole idea that he was speaking to a global assembly of people who are there because they believe in burden sharing, in helping each other, in getting each other out of crises, not cutting the peacekeeping money that the U.S. has cut, not cutting all UN Palestinian refugee aid, zeroed out, and expecting the Palestinians to come back to the table, crawl back to the table after you've pummeled them. Even rejecting the appeals of Ron Lauder, a former Pentagon official in the Reagan administration, the head of the World Jewish Congress, pleading with them not to start taking money away from Lutheran hospitals in East Jerusalem, in Arab East Jerusalem, which they have done. So they have turned their back on Canada, no meeting with Justin Trudeau. He criticized Angela Merkel and had no unkind words, no words about Vladimir Putin. When Theresa May was giving a speech today about Skripal and about the use of chemical weapons and, a nerve agent. Turning his back on Europe, certainly no Middle East peace plan from the son-in-law. And we've yet to see any progress. And this is why, because he came to the UN and said, we have been taken advantage of. We don't believe in these global deals. We don't believe in world trade. And from now on, every country for itself. But, oh, by the way, we don't like the way you're running your regime in Iran, with good reason. We don't like what's happening in Venezuela, which is a disgrace. And let's get together and, do something about those governments. It made absolutely no sense. We
spend a lot of time here, and I know you do too, talking about the obliteration of norms, but never do you see on full display what that looks like for all of us. I mean, in this country, we talk about him and his 35 to 37% hardcore base, but when he stands on the stage at the UN, he is, for better or for worse, all of our president, and that seems to be where things fell apart today. You're talking about his I guess, ideological underpinning on aiding other countries is what do they do for us? I mean, it's not a campaign slogan. A lot of foreign aid is to secure our national security, to help people with less than us. Do we talk too much? Do we make too much of these alleged guardrails? It doesn't sound like any of the guardrails got a copy of today's speech. Well, it gets lost in the swamp of threats, counter threats, the threats against Iran. Now, let's give credit where credit is due, and I am reluctant to do this because of all of the U.S. intelligence which contradicts it, but he's no longer calling Kim Jong-un Rocket Man. He's no longer saying we can destroy you if it becomes necessary. He's talking about a second summit. I don't think the first one was warranted, but better that they're talking than hurling missiles at each other. And so perhaps that could lead to something. The intelligence is that Kim Jong-un has not started either disclosing his weapons inventory, dismantling them, or permitting verification, the three demands that a very smart guy, Secretary Pompeo, made when he was put in charge of this very difficult negotiation. So there is that. It's no longer fire and fury against North Korea and Iran. It's now just Iran.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.